Hi and welcome to Auctioneers TV. Auctioneers TV is a channel for property investors interested in property auctions. This is a platform to share information about auctions, auction trends, interesting case studies and knowledge necessary for anyone wanting to buy or sell at auction. My name is Piotr Rusinek and I'm a London-based property investor with background in property sourcing. I've been dealing with auctions for over 5 years now, and I've acted in all capacities as an investor myself, a sourcing agent, and a joint auctioneer. Only in 2016 I appraised and helped other investors appraise over 100 auction properties for purchase and for sale. So I created this channel as a place to share facts and case studies and interviews with people in the industry, and I'll be posting a weekly video on this channel. If you'd like to subscribe and receive notification every time I post a video, you can click the red button below and it says subscribe. So this week is focused on the big picture. To start the new year with much needed energy, I thought it would be useful to see what happened, to review what happened in auction rooms in 2016 and what's possibly in store for us in 2017. To start, we'll distinguish between residential and commercial auctions. So residential auctions are typically offering lots that have houses, flats, but also land and mixed-use buildings, and anything with potential for residential conversion. Commercial auctions typically offer vacant or tenanted commercial premises, and also less often commercial buildings, usually tenanted, with planning for residential conversion. So there's some overlap between the two auctions, but they are quite distinct. So we'll look at them separately. So there were two major events that affected residential auctions in 2016. The biggest event was the increase in the stamp duty, so the additional 3% surcharge for additional properties being purchased for second and additional homes. And that made obviously a lot of people race to buy property in 2015. And then in 2016 it meant that either people have already bought their properties, or it meant that people who wanted to buy weren't offering enough money after adding the 3% stamp duty to meet the reserve prices. And it had quite a big effect on the market. Looking at the results for 4 major London and national auctions, there's a noticeable decline in number of properties being offered, the volumes of sales achieved, and also the success rate. So you can see a table here with 4 biggest residential auctioneers in London, and also the biggest one had a decline of nearly 8.5% in the numbers of properties being offered. So they offered actually almost 200 less properties in 2016. So that's one whole auction being taken away. The success rate also fallen from 84% to 77%, and the volume of sales declined. They sold about £70 million less of properties. So second biggest auctioneer, Savile, so the decline in lots just by 5%. And the success rate also dropped from 86 to 78%. But the volume of sales dropped massively. You will notice it's almost £100 million, £91 million in 1 year. That is a big drop. 2 other auctioneers were fairly steady. Barnum Marcus actually had an increase in lots being offered, and Auction House London offered almost the same amount of properties, just 1 property less. And Auction House London had the best success rate out of the major auction houses. They, even though it dropped to 80%, and the sales volume dropped from 130 to 109 million pounds. So those are the information from the residential auctions. The commercial market was completely opposite. A lot more sales, a lot more cash being exchanged, and in fact, for the first time since 2007, there was over 1 billion worth of commercial properties being sold in auctions. And that was generated only by two major auctioneers, Allsop Commercial and Acutus. So what are the facts then? You can see the table here. Allsop Commercial offered 22% more properties. The success rate dropped from 90 to 83%, which is still better than the best residential auctioneer. And the volume increased from 560 to 712 million. That's a 27% increase. Acutus, the second biggest commercial auctioneer, offered 47% more lots. The success rate dropped from an outstanding 91% to still amazing 86%. That's as good as residential auctioneers in the best years. So the value of sold properties increased from 289 to 351 in 2016. So an interesting comment from the director of Acutus, Richard Otrak, is that there is a noticeable increase in transactions being financed by cash. A lot of investors used to use bank finance, but now there's less investors relying on that. So there's much more equity being put into the market, and those investors are looking for safe alternatives to bond and cash investments. So they're buying commercial properties. And judging by those facts from 2016, both for residential and commercial auctions, what can we expect in 2017? Well, I think for residential auctions, I predict there will be lower guide prices and lower reserve prices, especially in London. A lot of sellers need to sell property. They will listen to auctioneer comments, and auctioneers are always suggesting to put the properties at the lowest possible price. So that encourages and attracts competitive bidding in the room. So people come to the room and they generate the interest and then bid up the prices. So that's usually the way things are being sold in auctions. And I think there will be a lot of deals to be snapped up in auctions in London especially. We have seen a lot of crazy transactions in the rooms, in the residential auction rooms in the recent years, where auctions would generate much higher prices for properties than agents ever thought are possible. And I think those times are temporarily gone for most of the properties. And many other investors who used to exploit that, things were selling for more than with estate agents, but they were not so motivated. They will now turn back to estate agents in order to obtain higher prices. In commercial auctions, I think we might continue to see the upward trend, especially with investors looking for safe and high-yielding opportunities, and developers looking to buy commercial space to convert on their permitted development. So that's everything for today. And if you'd like to receive an email with all the statistics from the auctions from 2015 and 16, all the auctioneers I mentioned, please follow the link to Auction News TV and subscribe to the newsletter. I'll be sending the Excel spreadsheet to all who subscribed. And the next episode, next week, I'll be sharing with you 5 most interesting auction properties that I've been involved with in 2016. And that will include some behind the scenes information that you usually don't hear from investors. So please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to receive a notification. It's a red button just below saying subscribe. And I hope this video has been of value to you and it was worth your time watching it. Thank you for watching it, and I'll see you next week.